I wanted to do a video talking about RRSPs and just like in layman's terms, why should you consider this? What have they been doing for you? Are you blindly following advice from people saying you should maximize your RRSPs? And then I read a story about this gal and saw some of the advice she was getting based on her situation. And I figured this is a great opportunity to have an open discussion about RRSPs when they're relevant so that you can make some amazing decisions for yourself. Brief history of how this started. Put yourself in 1917. World War I is happening, and we realize in 1917, we don't have any money to fund the war in Canada. Government at the time decided to introduce this temporary measure during the wartime to find funding for the war. It's called the Income Tax Act of 1917. And it was indeed installed as a temporary measure. It's 2024. And it's still here. Okay, so what happened? People prior to that were required to pay taxes in that form, which means they had more money left over for themselves from their earnings to fund life. Now you've got this new tax. You're seeing less money if you're Canadian because you're contributing. So you're paying all this money, off it goes to take care of the services and the war, all that. But what Canada quickly realized was, whoa, these people are getting old without much saving. Why don't they have savings? Well, they had to pay for taxes that they weren't used to before. So now you've got this other problem that Canada's created. The byproduct of having income taxes is people don't have money for savings and they're retiring without money. And now that's creating financial burden on the country. So the geniuses at Canada, and this is not just Canada, this happens in the States as well, decided to create an exception to their own rule. Income taxes being the rule, the exception is this wonderful product called the RRSP, Registered Retirement Savings Plan. And here's what it's meant to do. If I'm Canada, you're the taxpayer, I'm going to encourage you to save for your retirement, because if you do, then I don't have to plan for you. So if you plan for your retirement and you save, what I'm going to do is do a favor. I'm going to defer any taxes that you would have to pay on that income this year. So if you were making $20,000 back then and you contributed $2,000 to your RRSP, in that year, I'm only going to treat it as if you made $18,000. Pay a tax deferral. Later on, when you use that money from your RRSP, I will start to tax you on that gain. So $2,000 is taxable plus whatever it makes, if it makes any money, when you pull it out. Got me so far? Following that along, this exception to the rule is turned into this massive idea and concept. And it's touted by all financial planners saying max your RRSP, max your RRSP. But time out. If that's what this is, a tax deferral vehicle. If I'm deferring my taxes this year, I better be deferring it from a time when I'm paying a lot of tax to a time when I'm not paying as much in a percentage. Then I'm okay with that swap, right? If I'm gonna end up getting a deduction, so I'm in a tax bracket that's not very high right now, and I'm contributing to my RRSP, my deduction isn't as valuable. Putting the money into an RRSP isn't as valuable because I'm not gonna be as heavily taxed as if I would have been if I was a high income earner. And if I leave that in there and then become a high income earner later on, and then I have to take the money out from the RRSP at that point, I've deferred a low income tax rate to a high income tax rate. That doesn't make sense. That does not make sense. Why would this person maximize their RRSP? If they have expectations of making more in the future at a higher income tax rate, why in the world would that person want to put that money towards an RRSP now? They can take it out today, receive it with lower taxes. Another reason, if somebody's in a higher tax bracket today, great, you want a deduction. You have to firmly believe that tax rates will be the same in the future when you pull out your money, or that you're going to be reducing how much money you're going to be earning in your retirement, and therefore dropping down a bracket or 7 and pulling out money at a lower income tax rate. I don't know about you, but when I look to my future, I don't imagine myself making less money. I don't imagine that I will reduce the things I'm capable of or the experiences I'm having. No, I fully intend on continuing to grow. And I fully believe that income taxes are going to increase in rates. They've shown a trend going up. There's no reason to believe, based on our current spending in Canada, that rates will ever come down. Unless you see the benefit of deferral somehow in your situation, I don't see how blanketly saying maximize your RRSP is a strategy. Back to the story that I was reading about on social media. This gal came into an inheritance. So her mom passed away and she came into an inheritance, and she asked me questions from the community saying, obviously I should max out my RSP and TFSA. Why would you obviously max out your RSP? You just received your money tax-free from the insurance policy that paid out, okay, from that inheritance. You just received that. Why would you reintroduce the CRA as a partner and use that to make money to pay tax on it later on? You got it tax-free. Why would you consider doing that? Anyways, the advice across the board was, good for you, you should consider putting your money in an RSP and a TF and things like that. I guess the point I'm trying to make is conventional wisdom is not always appropriate. Conventional wisdom is not always accurate. And just because those big banks put the signs with RSP season and maximize your RSP doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing for them and their business, doesn't necessarily mean it's the right thing for you. If you're considering RSPs and how this affects you, I love talking about this, as you can tell. Hey, you have my permission, please DM me, message me. I want to chat about what I've experienced, what I'm doing for myself, and what we could do for you as well. Because I think it's important that you start thinking about the future now. Get wealthed up.